Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. In this video I'll show you how to create this menu bar over here using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So let me show you how it works. We can see that we have this selected state over here and the first menu is selected, and if you select the second menu item it goes over here, and in the same way if you select the third menu item it goes over here, and it also changes the icon over here inside this circle. So this is what we're going to design in this video. Let's get started. Right here I have opened up this folder called menu bar and I opened it with VS Code, and now let's create the files that we need. So let's click on new file and let's create an HTML file. So I'll just name it index.html, and we'll also create a CSS file. I'll just name it style.css, and we also need to have a JavaScript file. So I'll just type main.js. Alright, let's start with the index.html file. Now in VS Code you have the shortcut where you can just press exclamation and press tab and you'll have this basic HTML5 code. Now let's link our CSS file over here. So I'll just type link and press tab, and here in the href I'll just type style.css, and in the body we will just link our JavaScript file. So I'll just type script src, and here in the src I'll just type main.js. And for these icons we're going to use Font Awesome icons. So let's get the CDN of Font Awesome. Now you can just Google for Font Awesome 5 CDN and you will find this link of cdnjs.com. So let's go to the link and let's copy this all.min.css from here. So I'll just click on this button called copy link tag, and let's go back and I'll just paste it over here inside the head section. Alright, now let's start by creating a container division to hold everything. So let's create a division with the class of menu bar container, and in that we will have a division with the class of menu bar. Now for each of the icons I will have a division with the class of menu item. And now here in the menu item division we need to have the icon. So let's go to fontawesome.com and let's search for the icon. So I'll just go over here and go to icons and let's search for the icon. So we need to have the home icon, we need to have this calculator icon, and also this question mark icon. So here I'll just type home, and here we can see this icon. So let's click on this icon and let's click on this code to copy it, and let's paste it over here. Right now I'll just copy this and paste it 2 more times. Now for the second menu item we need to have the calculator icon. So I'll just change this to calculator, and for the third one I'll just change this to question. So these are the codes for these icons in Font Awesome. Alright, now let's create a division for this circle over here which moves around when we select any of these menu items. So let's create a division with the class of menu item selected. And here you can just copy the first icon from here. So I'll just copy this and I'll just paste it over here, because in the beginning we will have this home icon over here. Alright, that's it with the HTML. Now let's go over here to CSS and let's start styling this. Before that let's open this in our browser. So I have this extension called Live Server installed in VS Code. So once you do that you can just right click over here in the HTML and click on Open with Live Server. And here we can see our website is opened in the browser. Now let's go to a style.css file, and first of all let's add some styles to the body. So let's type body, and we will have a margin of 0 to reset all the margins. Right now let's style the menu bar container. So let's type dot menu bar container, and we will give it a width of 100%, and we will give it a position of fixed, and we'll set the bottom position to 40 pixels. Now we'll set the display to flex, and we will justify content to the center. Now we can see that all the menu items are in the center. Right now let's style the menu bar. So here we can see inside the menu bar container we have the menu bar. So let's go back to a style.css file and let's type menu bar container menu bar, and we'll set the width to 400 pixels, and we will set a background color of 042435. Now let's set the color of these icons to white. So let's type color and we'll set it to white. And now we want these icons to be one next to the other. So let's set the display to flex. And now we want them to spread out, so we want all of them to be spaced correctly. So let's type justify content and we'll set it to space between, and now we can see all the icons are spaced correctly. Now we have this icon over here, and it is of this selected circle over here. Now we need to position it differently, but for now let's keep it there, and let's set the font size to 24 pixels. So this will change the size of the icons. And let's add a padding of 4 pixels top and bottom, and 36 pixels left and right. I think we'll just add a padding of 0 for top and bottom over here, and we will add top and bottom padding to these menu items. Alright, let's also set rounded corners, so I'll just have border radius and we'll just set it to 24 pixels. Right now let's style these menu items. So for that we have this class of menu item. So let's type menu bar container menu item, and for this we will have a padding of 16 pixels top and bottom and 12 pixels left and right. And we'll also set the cursor to pointer so that when we hover over this we have a pointer. So I'll just type cursor pointer, and now we can see when we hover over this we have this pointer. Now let's also add a box shadow to this menu bar. So here I'll just type box shadow, and we'll set the values to 0 pixels, 6 pixels, 8 pixels, RGBA, 0, 0, 0 and 0.2. And I think we can increase the top and the bottom padding a little bit more. So let's change this to, let's say, 20 pixels, and I think that looks better. Now let's style this menu item selected. So for that we have this class of menu item selected over here. So let's style that. So here I'll just type menu bar container menu item selected, and first of all let's set the position to fixed. Right now let's set the height to 60 pixels and the width to 60 pixels, and we will set the background color to D61717, and let's set the border radius to 50%. And now we can see we have this circle. Now we'll bring the icon to the center. So for that we'll just set the display to grid, and then we'll just type place items and we'll just set it to center. Right now let's set the bottom position to 60 pixels, and we'll also add a border around this element. So let's type border, and we'll set the border to 10 pixels solid white. Right now let's add some JavaScript to move this circle around when we click on any of these menu items. Now we need to reference two things from our HTML into the JavaScript. So if you go back to the HTML, we need to reference these menu items and also the menu item selected division. So let's go to our main.js file and let's create a constant, and let's type menu item selected, and let's type document.querySelector, and here we'll just type menu bar container and menu item selected. And the next things we need to reference are the menu items. So let's type const menu items and document.querySelector, and here we need to type query selector all because we need to have multiple items. And here I'll just type menu bar container menu item. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to add event listeners to each of these menu items, so that when we click on these menu items we need to move this circle to that position. Now since we have multiple items inside this menu items constant, we have to loop through all these menu items and then add event listeners to all of them. So let's use a for each loop for that. So I'll just type menu items dot for each, and here we can create a variable to reference each of the menu items. So for that I'll just create a variable with the name of I. You can name this variable anything you want, and let's create an arrow function over here. And now here we need to type I.addEventListener, and we will listen for the click event. And let's create an arrow function over here. Now we need to do two things over here. We need to set the position of this circle based on the menu item, and then we also need to add the icon of this menu item inside this circle. So if we go back to our original design, we can see that when we click on this menu item, the circle moves over here and we have the icon over here, and if we click on this one we have the question mark over here. So let's do that. First of all let's change the icon and let's see whether it works. So let's type menu item selected dot inner HTML, and we have to set it equal to the inner HTML of the I, which is the menu item. So let's type I dot inner HTML, and now let's test it out. So let's click on this menu item, and we can see the calculator is displayed over here. And if I click on this menu item, we have the question mark displayed over here, and if I click on this one, we have the home displayed over here. So it is working alright. Now let's set the position. Now for this we need to perform a couple of steps. So first of all we need to get the bounding client rect, and then we have to get the center of the element. So let me show you how to do that. First of all let's create a variable, and we'll just name this variable menu item, and we'll set it equal to I dot get bounding client rect, and after that we need to get the center. So for that let's create a variable, and we'll create a variable with the name of x center, and let's set it equal to menu item, which is this variable right here which we just created, and we have to get the left position. plus menu item dot right position, and we have to divide this whole thing by 2. So let's type divided by 2. Now this will give us the center of this element. Right now the only thing we need to do is we need to set the left of this menu item selected to this X center. So let's type menu item selected dot style dot left equals X center, and we also need to add pixels. So let's type plus pixels, and now let's test it out. So let's click on this menu item, and here you can see it moves over here, and we can see it is moving alright, but it is starting from the center position, so we have to move it 50% of itself to the left. So further, let's go back to our style.css file, and here for the menu item selected, let's type transform translate X, and we'll set it to -50%. Alright, now let's test it out. So let's click on this menu item, and we can see that the position is added correctly. So everything is working alright. Now when we refresh this page, we want it to be positioned correctly on the first menu item. So let's go back to our main.js file, and let's create a new function over here. So I'll just create a function named set menu item selected position. And what we need to do over here is that we need to get the position of the first menu item, and we need to perform these same steps over here. So I'll just copy this, and let's paste it over here. And here, instead of i.getBounding client rect, we need to set it to menu items, and we need to select the first element. So let's type 0 inside square brackets, and here we can see after that we are getting the center, and we are setting the left position of the menu item selected to the center. Right now let's call this function. So I'll just type set menu item selected position, and now we can see when we refresh this page, we have the circle in the correct position. Now the last thing we need to do is we need to add a smooth animation between these positions. So let's go back to our style.css file, and let's add a transition. So I'll just type transition, and I'll just set all to 700 milliseconds. And for the easing function, I have created a cubic bezier. So I'll just add the values over here. The first value is 0.79, then the second value is -0.22, and then the third value is 0.37, and then the fourth value is 1.23. You can go ahead and experiment with these values over here and get different results. Right now let's test it out. Let's click on this second menu item, and we can see that everything is working alright. So we don't have any problems. Now if you want to make changes to this cubic bezier, you can just right click over here and go to inspect, and here in the Chrome browser inspector you have this option called cubic bezier editor. So if you click on that, we have this graphical representation, and you can go ahead and change this curve to whatever you want, and then just copy this cubic bezier and add it to your code. Alright, that's basically how you design a menu bar for your website using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Alright, that's it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.